Good afternoon. I am Tim Carter. How are you doing today? This is Ask the Builder, and I am live here on YouTube. Glad that you're here. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what a new roof should cost. And I'm sure I'm going to jump over into a bunch of other topics. Understand that when you watch live, you get to control. It's like you're at the steering wheel, on the train. Just so you know, trains don't have steering wheels. anyway, anyway, um, you get to control where we go during the live stream by asking questions or stating something in the chat. So make sure that you do that. And the more questions you ask, the more lively that the live stream is. It's really pretty simple. It's Monday. Gosh, let's see. I cannot believe it. It's Monday, March 14th. I mean, March is almost halfway finished. It seems like it was just the middle of February. All right. Uh, Time is just disappearing. And over the weekend, I got really energized. I've just got this plan about decluttering around here, and just kind of I'm starting basically right behind that door right there. I'm starting right there, and I'm just going to move to the north, and then I'm going to move downstairs and move back to the south through the garage. So that's phase one, and then I'll move into the house. So a lot of really great things are going to be sold here locally. I may put some things up on Craigslist, um, and smaller things that can be shipped really cheaply that I think might do well to a bigger audience. I'll put up on eBay, but the shipping costs they're they're just going through the flipping roof. It's just crazy what things cost. Anyway, um, we're going to talk about that too in a future, in an upcoming stream. We're going to talk a little bit about inflation. Just 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, I was talking about inflation, and that's before all of the um, craziness started over in Ukraine. And I had predicted, I told everyone, I said, listen, inflation's going to get a lot worse. And that's before the price of gasoline and oil went up. And you haven't seen anything like it. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be really bad. Really bad. And here's all you need to know. And this affects what your new roof is going to cost. See, that's why I wanted to bring this up. First of all, the price the inflation percentage, the rate that's being reported by the government. Well, how can I say it? I'm not going to say it's wrong. I'm going to say that it's computed completely differently than it was computed 40 years ago when we had the record inflation. In other words, I maintain that the current inflation rate is about double of what they say it is. So that would put it somewhere in the 15 to 16% range. And it's going to get worse. All right. So, anyway, if you have any questions about inflation, just put them in the chat. I'm happy to help. Got a little bit of chapped lips going on here. Let's take care of that for a second here. So, I'd never be a good woman because I'd have lipstick like all over my flipping face. You're in Canada and you're scared. Well, hi, Mental. How you doing? You shouldn't be scared. What do you? That's a great point, though. Would you tell me what are you scared about? Just let me know what you're scared about, and then let me see if I can help you. And while you're typing that and going through that, I'll start talking about new roof costs. All right. Here's what you need to know about roofing. First of all, if you subscribe to a website that I do, I subscribe to a lot of things. Hi, Josh. How you doing? I was just on Google Maps looking at Western Kentucky. I looked up Paradise, the old town that no longer exists, but it's still on the map. It's kind of interesting, but they've got a big power plant where the town used to be. Here's what you need to know about new roof costs. I subscribe to a website called SEMrush, SEMRUSH, and it's almost hard to describe what it is, but you can see exactly what people are paying Google on a cost per click basis to to get business. And I mean, that's how, just so you know, that's why Google is so powerful. Um, for those of you who don't know it, the reason Google is such a huge company and is because they completely turned upside down the whole advertising game, if that's what you want to call it, the game. In other words, back when they started out, you could go onto you could buy a click on Google for 2 cents. And most businesses had no clue about this. And and you could drive and plus your ad would only appear on relevant topics, meaning and you could tell Google only show my ad when people type these words into Google. It gets much more complex than that. But that's how it's called, Google AdWords, in case you want to read up on it. So roofers, I mean, so this is, you have to realize Google started when? 2001? All right. Or so they're like 21 years old approximately. Maybe 2000. Anyway, crutch word. Roofers, all the roofers in your area where you live, all the roofers, they, not all of them, but many of them are going to Google bidding these words, like things that you type in. Like, for example, you might type in, let me turn this thing. I have somebody texting me and he's just like really bothering me. I just have to turn this down. That's better. They're paying like $4 or $5 a click. All right. And understand that maybe they get 3% conversion rate. All right. So they in other words, think about that. They would they'd get 100 phone calls or 100 people visit their website, and they spend $500 approximately to get that traffic, and maybe they'll get 3 jobs. So they have to blend that advertising cost, and you end up paying for that, right? Just so you know. And some of these other roofers, they advertise in local papers, whatever. The other thing you need to understand about new roof cost, I'm trying to explain to you why, when you get that number, when you get that bid, why your eyes are like this. Right? In other words, you suffer a freaking heart attack. You may not understand or know anything about the workman's comp situation in your state. Roofing companies they're way up there at the top of the list of what the employer has to pay to the state for workman's comp. Because when someone falls off a roof and gets hurt, usually it's a serious injury. They can die. Workman's comp, picks up that price. All right, that cost. In other words, the workman's comp rate could be 20, 30, maybe even 40%. So what that means is that if the roofer is paying a guy, I'm just going to say this, $15 an hour, $20 an hour. Let's say it's $20 an hour. And it's 30% is what he has to pay the state. Well, for every hour that employee works on your roof, he has to pay that person $20 plus all the FICA and Medicare and all that other stuff, plus another $6. Well, you're paying for that. All right. So the roofer's not paying for it. You are. Then you've got all these other costs. I mean, there's just the cost of running a business. Imagine now what it costs per day to send those trucks out on the road, with the cost of gasoline. Everything's going to be more expensive. And so just forget about the material, and the materials are going to be more expensive because, for goodness sakes, what's the major component in asphalt shingles? Oil. All right. So even though asphalt is like the last thing that comes out of the catalytic cracker, still you're going to see a price bump on the shingles. So if you have any questions, specific questions about new roof costs, let me know. I'd love to answer them. I'm going to go get caught up on the comments. All right. So Mental is worried about the Ukrainian war. I'm kind of glad you brought this up, even though this is a home improvement, live stream. We do talk about current events. I am not an expert on foreign relations and wars and all this other stuff. All right. But I can tell you this. I don't know how to couch it any other way. Depending on who you rely on for your news or your information, it's starting to come to light that there's a really good chance that your news organization over the past 2 years has lied to you a lot about the illness. All right. There's all kinds of stuff starting to finally come out. For example, just one of them, the fact that the true COVID death toll was not anywhere near what the numbers that they're reporting. There's all kinds of really good articles out there that prove this. So if that's the case, in other words, if you then kind of buy into the fact that, okay, my news sources kind of lied to me. So this is a rhetorical question. Why would you all of a sudden believe them about whatever they're saying about the war with Russia and Ukraine? See what I mean? Tremendous amount of disinformation out there and a lot of propaganda. And then the other thing is this. This is a classic example of the Game of Thrones. I keep throwing that reference in because it truly is. Because if you've not read book 1 of Game of Thrones, you need to. Because here's Russia invading Ukraine for whatever reasons. And we don't know the real reasons. See, that's the thing. You have to understand, Mental, you do not have all the facts about what's going on. None of us do. So this is no different than bidding a roof job. In other words, how can a company bid a roof job without truly seeing the job? There are companies out there who are using Google satellite images to give you a bid. And that's they can get pretty close, but there's other tiny little things that they can't see from that satellite photo. So they don't have the full story. So in the case on a big issue like this, we don't have all the facts. So how could you and I have a fruitful discussion about what's going on? It's impossible. That's why that's why the whole illness thing over the past 2 years caused a fracture in so many friendships, even with me. The illness severely damaged relationships that I have with maybe really close relationships I had with about 5 people. That was by design, by the way. They hate us. They hate us. They hate us, and they want to do everything possible to separate us and get us to hate each other. All right. So anyway, Mental, ask more questions if you want about that. Don, hey, Don, how you doing? I'm another silver top 80s, 87. Way to go, Commander. Love your show. I'm learning how I should have done a lot of jobs. I was you were an electrical engineer. I always have electrical engineering questions. I have a friend who was also an electrical engineer here in New Hampshire. He was the founder of Small Wonder Labs. He's an icon in the amateur radio industry. Dave Benson. Don, if you're not on Discord, you need to be, because we can have so many cool conversations over there on Discord, and then everybody gets to see him who's part of that server. So hey, Steve, you're here. Good for you, man. Let me put in that link again to the Discord server. We'll talk about Discord in a little bit. I want to continue to talk a little bit about, here's the Discord server. You need to join that, Don. We're going to continue to talk about the roofs. All right. Let me get caught up. From Minneapolis. Great, good for you. Will, glad to see you're still with us after your call on Friday. Oh, I know. I know. They didn't show up, not yet. Not yet. Isaiah, when is it better? Oh, okay. That's a great question, Isaiah. When is it better to repair or replace a roof? Um, that's such a great question. All right. If the shingles are in really bad shape, and here's how I would define really bad shingles. If they're curled, if they're missing a lot of granules, um, it's really time. It's time to do it. It's time to replace it. Um, generally, you don't have to replace a roof until it starts to leak, or if you live in an area where, let's just say, the roof has really gotten into bad shape, it's not leaking, but your area is prone to really bad weather where you could have either severe thunderstorms, hurricanes, any kind of thing that generates high wind. Because a roof that's in bad shape, if it starts to, if a wind gets underneath the shingles and starts to break them off, you're going to have catastrophic leaking in a big storm. So I wouldn't replace the roof until it's in pretty bad shape. It's that simple. If you need more information, ask another question. Here's Emily. I got the flat part of my roof done like 5 months ago. I paid $2,800 for material around the edge and some type of paint. Well, Emily, it's really hard for me to say whether you got ripped off or not because there are so many factors involved. I would have to. I know you say 2,800 square feet. You paid for the material around the edge and some type of paint. I don't know, and plus I don't know what they painted on. I just don't. It's really hard for me to answer that question. Understand? Here's how you. But you know what? So your question leads to a follow-up question, and you might have asked, "How do I prevent getting ripped off in the future?" That's the question. Here's what you have to do. Most people don't like to do this because it's a little bit of work. You have to decide that you're going to spend some time and get educated about the types of roof systems that would go on your roof. For example, since you have a flat roof, you should be getting up to speed on rubber roofing, EPDM. So E is in Echo, P is in Papa, D is in Delta, M is in Mike. And in other words, all of the big buildings around you, all the big box stores, all the big warehouses, they have rubber roofing on it. So rubber roofing comes in giant rolls. And depending on how wide your building is, you might be able to get put on a one piece. Rubber roofing is fantastic. So once you decide on what type of roofing that you think you're going to use that would work on your home, then you go look at the manufacturers. You can reach out to them. Hopefully they'll get back to you. You can send them pictures of your place, draw a little drawing. They'll tell you yes or no whether their material works. Then all you have to do is, unfortunately, you have to read some of the instructions. I know, this sounds like a lot of work, doesn't it? You have to do this. Otherwise, you won't know when you talk to the roofers whether they are, taking you to Shanghai or not. So you have to do that. You have to do that due diligence, Emily. Hey, Steve, I know. I'm nice and bright. Yeah, my orange. My oldest daughter gave this to me as a Christmas gift back, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's in really great shape. Here's interesting. I forget. Oh, this is a Flint and Tinder. That was the name of the company. It was a startup on Kickstarter. And here's what's cool. It came with a 10-year warranty. All right. And these dark blue cuffs were not original. The cuffs were originally just this same material here. And they started to really fall apart up here at the edge. So I reached out to the company and contacted them. They said, send it back. In fact, we'll send you a flipping label. and I put it in a box, put the label on it. A month later, I got it back fixed with these new cuffs. I mean, great company. I was really impressed. Flint and tinder. So flint, like when you start a fire. All right, mental. I liked my answer. Golf course may be open in a few weeks. Are you kidding me? I'm not coming till it's 65 and sunny. I'm telling you right now. How is it that England, I mean, where Greenwich Mean Time is, I mean, where Greenwich is, where the time is flipping set at the Greenwich Observatory or whatever. How is it that you guys don't shift your time until 2 more weeks? Are you kidding me? Don says most of our roofers are from Mexico and don't think that is don't think all of the special fees are always paid. Who knows? I'll just say this about the roofing cost. So when you decide to talk with a roofer, and I have, I'm not trying to sell you this, but everything you need to know is right here. This makes sure if you use this when you go to talk to roofers, if you use this form, this simple 2-page checklist, it asks the roofer all the questions that you need to ask that you might otherwise forget. And it also is not so confrontational, because if you verbally try to ask it, the roofer may try to bowl you over or make an excuse. So you just send them this PDF file and say, fill it out and give it back to me. Simple as that. But for example, you need to see their workman's comp certificate. You need to make sure that the certificate's valid. You need to make sure that you see their liability insurance. What happens if they put a ladder up and the ladder slips and goes and falls and hits your neighbor's house? Don't think it's not happened. All right. There's, so my form, the form I just put in there, it covers all that. It forces them to give you all that information. Wow, Greenwich is a couple of miles south of you. They call them saying it's actually an orange. At least on my monitor, the color is pretty close to what it really is. All right. So, what other questions do you have? If we've got a few people here. What other questions do you have about getting a roof bid, or anything about roofing? Anything about putting a roof on your home? I really don't care what it is. The type of materials, I don't care what it is. Sunny silver top. Oh gosh. Here's what I wanted to say. This is a great segue into this. One of the really things that's interesting is that we added about 75 people to Discord over the weekend, and which is really great. There's not a lot of activity of people asking questions over there, but realize one of the advantages of Discord is that not only can you chat here, but you can have a really robust discussion over there, because you're not limited. Here, YouTube limits you, each of your posts, to 200 characters. Over on Discord, you can be chatting, you can be uploading photos, you can even have voice chat over there, while I'm doing this. So it's really, really, if you've not done the Discord thing, you should really think about it. I'm telling you, it's going to get to critical mass, I predict, within a month or two. And once it gets to critical mass, there's going to be a lot of activity, and you'll be able to save a ton of money in all the different topic areas. All right. So, we could have a roofing area. We can have whatever area you want. It doesn't matter. They're unlimited. I can make as many areas as you want, whatever you want to talk about. The biggest thing I also want to tell you about is that if you're getting a roof, then I'm going to talk about what happened. Why I'm going to tell you why I wrote this crazy book. All right. Right. So I just put a link in right there to kind of a really cool. It's a very small book. It's only. I thought I had a copy of it around here. I do over there. I don't care. It's behind me. It doesn't matter. That's another T-shirt. Doesn't matter. I got so much to talk about. I'm making a note. So The I bought this house that I live in 2008, in the summer of 2008. The house was only about 8 years old, and the owner was pretty. He turned out to be a not so good guy, but at least he saved all of the brochures and paperwork with all of the stuff in the house, including the shingles. And the shingles on the house were made by IKO. I think it's a Canadian company, and it was a 30-year shingle. I mean, they guaranteed it for 30 years. So I saw that when I was looking at the house, and I thought, well, heck, I'll never have to worry about putting a roof on, not in my lifetime. Huh. About 4 years later, the roof really started to fall apart. All right. So the roof was only 12 years old at the time, and it's showing, and it was acting like it was 25 years old. Then it really went downhill, and by, I don't know, 6 years ago, I had to replace it. 6, 7 years ago, and 44 squares, 12-12 pitch and 9-12 pitch on the garage, 12-12 on the house, 9-12 on the garage. And there was no way I could. First of all, I decided I'm not going back with asphalt, and I went with Da Vinci Roofscapes, which is a really cool product. It's a plastic, but it's a virgin polymer, but it looks like slate. So if people that come to my house and look at my roof, they think I have a slate roof. There's no time limit like on Zoom. Exactly. Hi, Vanessa. Steve wants to know, are roof shingles fireproof? Roof shingles here in America come with a Class A fire rating. That doesn't mean that they're fireproof, but it means that they're highly fire resistant. I can tell you this: if your house catches on fire, and the fire is burning inside, and the fire burns into the attic and starts to eat away at the wood of the roof, when the fire gets to the underside of the shingles, it will absolutely catch the shingles on fire, because all they are, I mean, they're mostly oil, right? So it's just that the top of the shingles, in other words, outside, because of the tiny little ceramic granules that are on the shingles, Steve, there's so many of them, they almost cover the whole area of the shingle. If you were to drop a burning stick onto the roof, it's not going to catch on fire, because there's all these tiny little pieces of stone up on the roof. But if you attack the shingles on the underside, it's game over. Game over, man. They will burn so fast, make your head swim. All right. So anyway, about my roof, I was working on. It was a particularly hot summer, and I was so angry that I was doing this roof, and for the most part, I'm working by myself. It's crazy. Had to strip off all the shingles, take it down to the bare wood, put new ice, Grace ice and water shield on, hand nail every shingle. And one day, I got really aggravated. I was really pretty upset. And I thought to myself, this is bullshit. I am going to find out why these flipping shingles fail. So I thought about it. I knew if I went to the roofing companies, I would just get blown off, So I thought about it. I thought, you know what? I think I'll do a survey of my newsletter and all of the people that read my newspaper column. Runs in 60 papers across the United States, some big ones. So I create this form. I think the form is still out there in the internet somewhere. I think it's still alive. I know I didn't kill it, and it basically asks people their name and their email address and their city and state, and if they had a problem with it, like just simple questions like, "Do you know the name of the shingles? Made them? What happened? Blah blah blah. Tell me your story." So I write this column, and it starts to run nationally, and it ran first in the Washington Post, right? Pretty big paper. And within a couple hours of it running, I get an email, and it's from this person. And I can't tell you who it was. He just says, I read your column, and you and I need to talk. He says, because I have some information that I think will fascinate you. How can I pass up that email? I respond, and we decide to set up a phone call. He allows me to record it. And it turns out that this person had been in the asphalt roofing industry for 30, 35 years, maybe 40. And at the current time when he interviewed me, he was one of the top officials about asphalt shingles in America, one of the most visible figures in America about asphalt shingles. And he was ethically challenged. And what proceeded to happen in this 90-minute interview that I recorded, and the recording is in about 5 different places in the cloud, so it never gets lost. He told me the truth about what was going on. And basically, in America, the asphalt shingle industry perpetrated a multi-billion-dollar fraud on you, the American consumer. And it's all in the book. It's all in that roofing ripoff book that it's all in this book. Everything you want to know is in this book. And the bottom line is just this. Here's all I need to know. Here's what was happening. All right. So imagine this. Imagine, trying to think. I'm trying to think of a really good analogy. Oh, well, I guess it's pretty simple. Imagine you go to buy a new car. You go to buy a new car, and the car says it comes with a 100,000-mile warranty on the powertrain. But what you don't realize is that the engine and transmission and differential that they put in your car already has 65,000 miles on it. All right. So basically, it's pre-aged. So that's what they were doing with the shingles. In other words, the shingles that they were selling, they said that they would last 30 years. But when you opened up the package to put them on your roof, it's as if the shingles had already used up 80% of their life. And the way they did that is by blowing more air into the asphalt before they use the asphalt to make the shingles. So they pre-aged the asphalt, which made it more brittle. And their whole plan was to make it that the roofs fail, just like mine did, about 9 years into their life. Why is 9 years important? In America, the average American only owns their home for 9 years. So they wanted to sell a roof to every homeowner, not to every third homeowner. Get it? All right, let me get caught up on the comments, then I'll keep going. Here we go. Yes, Vanessa, your swings around. Yes, HPD plastic. Yes, Vanessa, Citronal sued over the roofing company over here. The new roofers did an outstanding job. We took a picture of the product. Good. Oh, hello, Lorene's here. I didn't think Lorene was going to be here. Vanessa says metal roofing is going up in the workshop with solar panels. Yes, good idea. Okay, that's what I thought. You're only going to be here spread in the next 2 weeks. Exactly. Your vehicle's got 235. Okay, if it's a good vehicle, then that's hardly anything, just getting broken in. All right. So pre-aging shingles, bad. Everything about it's bad. Here's all and plus, here's what you'll read if you first of all, if you go to that link I just put in here, I'll put the link in again. You go to this link, you can get like the first 3 or 4 chapters for free. So go there and get the free chapters. Start reading the book. It's going to blow you away. All right. So Steve says, would solar paneling prolong your shingles? Well, yes, because the solar panels shield. What tears the shingles apart is the sun. That's all you need to know. That's in the book. The sun, the ultraviolet rays in the sunlight that come here to Earth, about 5% of the ultraviolet rays have active photons. And photons, think of a photon as like an ultra small little cruise missile. So anything the photon hits, it basically just blows it up. This is why, and I'll tell you how powerful photons are. So you've seen this, Steve, you've seen this over in England. People see it here in America, but they don't put 2 and 2 together. You may look up on a roof and you may see a chimney that's got lead flashing. You may see a roof that's got copper flashing, whatever. And you may notice that below that flashing, the roof is really clean or it's a different color. You may also have noticed this. If you ever noticed on an old farm, you'll see an old farm building that has a rusty roof. Okay, it's this corrugated rusty roofing material. Well, it didn't used to be rusty. What was that roofing? What was on that roof before when the roof was put on? I can tell you, zinc. In other words, it was just galvanized steel. So you should ask, well, where in the hell did the zinc go? Oh, I'll tell you where it went. It's in the flipping ground right below the shed, right below the roof. So the photons are so powerful that they can break atomic bonds in metal. In other words, a photon will come down, hit a copper flashing, boom, blows it up, and there's a tiny piece of copper that's now just hanging on. And the next time it rains, it washes the copper down farther onto the roof, which is why it keeps the roof clean. It does the same with lead, does the same with galvanizing, does the same with zinc. So you can imagine if it can break the atomic bonds of metal. I mean, because think about it. If you take a copper penny and you try to scratch it with your finger, you can't scratch any copper off with your finger. I mean, I know you can with a screwdriver, but you can take some asphalt and scratch it with your fingernail. So it's child's play for the sunlight to ruin asphalt. That's why those granules are on your asphalt shingles, because the granules are the same thing as you putting sunscreen on your skin so you don't get sunburn. So I hope that helps. All right, let me get caught up here. Yes, Ford Ranger. H. Lee, in about 2015, I roofed my last house with timberline myself, and I looked like I had tiny copper. They may have put some of the copper in it. Generally, those manufacturers were only putting about 10%. They were supposed to put 10%, the algae type shingles, but I've seen a lot of those fail. They weren't putting enough copper in. Josh says, I currently threw, all of a sudden we're talking about cars. All right. All right. Vanessa says, I just made shingles under the solar panels. All appears they will. Any of the shingles under the solar panels are going to be just fine. It's basically you're suspending in time about them getting any worn out. They're not going to wear at all. They're not going to wear because the sun can't hit them. So simple as that. All right. Any other questions I can answer about, well, anything really for that matter. That's why I'm here. I don't care what you ask about. It can be plumbing, roofing. It doesn't matter. I'm happy to answer any question. And while you're typing your questions, does anybody use terracotta for roofing? Well, Steve, kind of, yes. terracotta would be very, very popular in the Southwest and, New Mexico, Arizona, parts of Southern California. A lot of clay used there, clay roofing. It goes with a certain type of architecture, that's really popular in the Southwest. You might find some of it scattered in Florida. It's a heavier roofing. You can't really walk on it without ruining it. So it's a tough. Uh, it's okay, Vanessa. You can talk about trucks. I really don't care. I just thought I probably won't bring it into the discussion here. Hey, hi, good night. How you doing? I didn't even notice you were here. Oh, I saw you up there. I'm missing things. Will wants to know, no, not really, Will. You can walk on asphalt shingles. Here's when I would not walk on them. I mean, if it was a 95-degree day, 100-degree day, direct sunlight at noon, and it's a newer roof, that asphalt's going to be pretty soft, and you'll scar them. So you would not want to walk on asphalt when it's really, really hot out. And I mean, you don't want to do it anyway because it's so flipping hot up there. I mean, the average, I've got infrared photos on my website of my roof, 165 degrees, the surface of the roof. All right, let's see. Vanessa says cedar posts are used on the fence. We are now replacing all these cedar posts with pressure treated. Okay, well, I've got bad news for you. You can go to my website and look at photos of pressure treated wood that's been in the ground. It's rotted. I mean, just. Thanks, Shanesh. You got us off topic and into trouble. Exactly. Good night wants to know anything I can do to tighten a leaky bathtub faucet. Sure. I got a question for you. So I need a little bit more data. If you grab onto the handles, does the whole thing back and, is the whole thing rattle? Like, even what I'm trying to say is where the faucet body is behind the wall, or is it just the trim pieces you think outside, like the chrome or the brass pieces outside? Answer me that, and then I'll jump in. SG, how frequently should dormers be resealed? And do you recommend any particular heavy duty fluid? Oh, that's a great question. That's why I love doing these live streams. Some of the questions are just fantastic. Guess what, SG? If the dormer was flashed properly, you have to do nothing to it. Isn't that great? I'm serious. And, meaning, for example, if it was done with copper and you had copper step flashing going up the sides and you had a copper sill flashing and it was soldered at the corners, what I'm talking about, a base, like a base flashing, on the front of the dormer, and it goes around the corner. You never have to do anything. The flashings should always be made so that they outlast the actual roofing material. And you can do it with aluminum. It's just that the problem with aluminum is you can't solder aluminum. I only like to use flashing materials that I can solder, because when you do the corners on a dormer or like the corners on a skylight, there's this tiny, when you fit that flashing together, I cannot do it here. I know, even if I had a whiteboard, I couldn't do it. When you overlap and do these flashings, there's this tiny little pinhole. And then there's also an edge up on the vertical face and on the horizontal face that needs to be soldered. And, a lot of roofers like to use aluminum, but then they caulk it. Well, caulk is not a permanent roofing material. We just talked about how the sun tears everything apart. The sun tears apart caulk. I mean, it's child's play. It's like you ripping a piece of paper. So the answer to your question is, the dormers never need to be resealed if they were flashed properly. So in the old days, we could still get tin coated steel. You can't hardly find it anymore. So now you got to resort to rolled copper if you want to have a flashing that's going to last a long time. All right, Vanessa says the pressure treated we use for the portion build is holding strong. And when if I okay, so here's the trouble with the pressure treated lumber. First of all, it isn't all made the same. I've got a couple of really good videos on my website about it. You should go type treated lumber into askthebuilder.com, read all my columns. You're going to see some really great videos of how they treat the lumber and of the different concentrations of the quaternary copper that they now put in. You have to understand the treated lumber that you now buy residentially is not as good as the stuff they used to sell. They made it illegal to sell copper chromium arsenic, the CCA, and even that rotted out. And I bought some of that years ago, and it rotted out, and termites ate it, and it was rated for burial. I mean, the problem that you have to understand is you're hoping that the treatment plant put the right amount of chemicals in. You're hoping that it was pressurized long enough. You're hoping your whole basis for this is based on hope. You might want to get some locust. Farmers use locust because it's for fence posts because it's so naturally rot resistant. It's unbelievable. So locust makes a great post. Let's see if Good Night answered my question. Good Night did not answer me yet. I asked you what's loose, just like one little part, or do you think the whole body is loose behind the wall? All right, let's see. Vanessa says, oh, wait a minute. Let me get back up here. Oh, here we go. There it is. It doesn't rattle. The trim goes past where the turnoff point is. I think you're going to have to send me a photo of that. You send me a photo. You know how to email me, and then I that's the only way I'm going to be able to give you good information. I got to see what I'm talking about. Got 17 online at Discord. Okay, Vanessa says we have bricks in the chimney breaking apart and crumbling. Yes. Well, so here's the deal with brick. Depends on the type of brick. You understand that you have to have the chimney crown's got to be right. You need to go to my website. I hate to keep sending you there, but that's where all the good information is and great illustrations. Go there and type chimney crown in the search engine, chimney crown, and look at all those columns, read all those columns. There's a really good chance that you might have a leak in your chimney crown. And the other problem is that the big problem with chimneys is that they've got so much exposure, and you can get water leaking into the brick. The brick generally are hard enough that they won't fall apart like that. If it's used brick, I can see exactly why it happened. All right, let's see here. Here we go. Yeah, Steve says, sounds like we need a lot of sunblock for homes. Yes, true. SG says, all three of my dormers are leaking and now have ceiling damage. I'll be doing whole roof this summer. Please do a video. I will not do a video on dormers. It's I don't have one to do one. And I mean, for me to do a video for me to do the video that you need, I would have to have a dormer, a new one. It's crazy. And what I would do is if I would do a video like that, just so you know, I'm going to make it, you have to pay for it. That's such a detailed video. It probably would be half an hour long. But there are but what you should at least do is very least, you should probably invest in one of my phone consults before you make a big mistake. That's all I can tell you. And read all of my columns on my website about flashing. That's all I can tell you. There might maybe be a couple of good videos on YouTube about how to do flashings for dormers. I don't know. But I'm not going to do that video for you. I'm sorry. It's just, you have no idea how much work it is. You have no flipping idea. And to really do that one right, you need a videographer. I cannot sit there and do the work and try to hold this camera at the right angle up in the air. Just not doesn't work. Goodnight types faster than Will can. Will, we already had this conversation. That's what the live stream was about on Friday. Dvorak keyboard. As if you don't have enough to do. You might want to start thinking about becoming a touch typist. If you just practice 15 minutes a day, serious about this. If you just practice 15 minutes a day, that's nothing. 15 minutes is nothing. Within a month, you'll be a touch typist. You won't be super fast, but that's okay. But you'll be able to type faster than you can type now and not looking at the keyboard. I guarantee you can do it in 30 days. Thank you, Vanessa, for sending people to the website. All right, let's see here. Let me see if the days of creosote are long past. Yeah, for residential they are. All right. So anyway, SG. I can tell you another place where you might get some halfway decent information. You'll have to pay for the columns, but it might be worth it. If you go to, I don't mind promoting these people. They make good stuff. Fine Home Building. If you go to finehomebuilding.com, I guarantee you I have seen columns in the past, especially in their long ago issues, about how to flash a dormer. So go to finehomebuilding.com and try to find an article about flashing a dormer that would be from issue 1 until issue 100, maybe 120. Anything after that is suspect. I remember about 10 years ago, I saw an article in Fine Home Building about how to flash a dormer, and the guy was using caulk, and I just shook my head. Right? It's like, idiot, flipping idiot. But it's a younger guy who thinks caulk is the magic because he sees everybody else use it. That's not the way to do it. Finehomebuilding.com. Go there. How to flash a dormer, but make sure when you see the article you're going to buy that it's from issue 1 to issue 100. We'll read the article on Dvorak. My touch after my right arm reconstruction. Yeah, that can be tough. I'm still lucky I can do all this. I'm really, really lucky. All right, let me talk a little bit about Discord real fast about Discord. So I got a lot of help from Goodnight over the past 3 or 4 days. Here's what you need to know. You can't. My son tells me I tried to research this in the past 2 hours and I can't figure it out. My son was fascinated that I had a Discord server. He couldn't believe it. But he sent me an email. Let me just tell you what he sent. Let me share this. And I had tried to figure this out in the past, right before we went live, but I could not figure it out. He says, trying to bring it up here. It's in the string. I'm bringing it up. So he said, maybe it was in a text. Stand by. I'm trying to find it. Might have been in a text. All right. So he says, oh, here we go. He said, for Discord, you should look into a bit that can assist in allowing users to better filter out the channels they join so they don't get assaulted by so much noise. All right. So that really got my interest up. And I went to see if there are any really great videos about this. I could not do it. I even jumped onto another server, went to a channel, hit right and left click just to try to see how can I, quote unquote, join that channel. I must be missing something. But the point is, once we figure it out, and we already have a little text channel that's called How to Use Discord. I'll share that. Here's why that's important. Because if all of a sudden you're getting notifications about everything on my server, that may turn you off. You may go, this is too much of a bother. So you're going to be able to just get notified when something has been posted in an area that interests you. So just keep that in mind. We'll have more about that later. All right. All right, here we go. D5X5. Is removing asbestos floor tiles not a DIY project? Oh, that is such a great question. Okay, I'm going to say this, and so you have to take this with a grain of salt. My brother-in-law, his sister and her husband both died of mesothelioma. The husband, was a union plasterer and, started his career back in the 50s when they still had all kinds of asbestos and a lot of the stuff he worked with. He was using asbestos every day. He had it on his clothes, and his wife, it's just like secondhand smoke. She got infected with asbestos, either just being around his clothes, washing them, or whatever. First of all, the asbestos has got to be airborne. All right. Meaning, just like, you have to throw it in the air, and these tiny little fibers have got to get in your lungs. The asbestos that's in VAT, vinyl asbestos tile, is encapsulated. All right. I mean, if you go down into your basement and you start beating on it with a hammer and breaking it up, and make it friable, then you may release some asbestos in the air. But guess what? There's an easier way. This is like a secret tip that most people don't know about. All you have to do is go buy a block of dry ice. You can buy a cube of dry ice. All right. You have to have really heavy gloves to handle it. You have to have good ventilation so you don't asphyxiate yourself. If you take a chunk of dry ice and you slide it onto a vinyl asbestos tile, within about 2 seconds, you'll hear it go. It gets so cold that the vinyl asbestos tile contracts, and it completely breaks the bond between itself and the glue. So you can take a stick or a rake or a shovel or something, and you have to have a helper. And like I said, you have to have really good ventilation, okay? So you don't fill the flipping room with carbon dioxide and you pass out, all right? You got to figure that part out. So you start pushing this, somebody is pushing this block of carbon dioxide around, and you hear it pop, and as soon as you hear it pop, you move to the next one, and then the person behind you carefully picks it up. The tile's solid. It's not broken. There's no loose asbestos, and you start stacking them up to carry outside. It's that simple. You don't need to hire it out. You just need to figure out how to do it so you don't get killed from the flipping carbon dioxide. All right, let me get caught up. SG, will do. I have a feeling they use when I caulk. Yes. Well, SG, just go to Find Home Building, see if they got a column. And once again, you can also get me on the phone. I'm not trying to really push that. Just understand, if you need one-on-one coaching so that you don't get screwed and have another leak, you only have to invest $50. Nothing about this is hard. Right, Lorraine? All right, let's see. Vanessa, here in Connecticut, you need to have, yeah. That's what they say. That's a recommendation, all right, in Connecticut, all right? That's a flipping recommendation. Yeah. Asbestos is a great product. It's a great thing. Asbestos is a great thing. I can take you to houses here in Laconia, New Hampshire, that have been here, and in Meredith. I've got pictures of them on my website of fiber cement siding. The original fiber cement siding was made back in the late 1800s. Really popular in the early 1900s. Really popular. I can take you by houses right now here in Laconia that still have it. It looks like the day it was installed. They used to make it for roofing tiles. Fantastic. It's only dangerous if you put it into a flipping grinder. Give me a break. It's all this fear. They use all this flipping fear to control you. Start using the flipping gray cells up here, for God's sake. Find out why asbestos is dangerous. Don't just assume, oh, it's got asbestos in it, I can't touch it. Bullshit. It can be taken off safely. It's crazy. I get so upset at government sometimes, man. Steve S. wants to know if you banned. For the most part, yeah, it's pretty much banned over here. It's crazy. It's crazy. D5X5. Thank you. Does that also get the glue? No, it will not. It will not get the glue up. You can buy adhesive removers to do that. Same thing. Read the flipping label. Make sure the area is well ventilated. Don't make sure if they're volatile, turn all the flipping pilot lights off. But anyway, the problem is you can get is adhesive removers. I have columns about that on my website. Go to askthebuilder.com, read about adhesive removers. Vanessa, early 1980s Alaska, the Delhi shipment came out by air freight. It took out all the dry ship. Yeah, there you go. Nice. I don't understand the not out of 10 dentist. Yes. Banned because of stupidity. Yes, Josh. My dad learned to install asbestos insulation in the Frick shipyard. Yeah. So those guys, they were exposed. I mean, the people who worked with it all day long in a friable state, it could be problematic. All right, I get that. But there are ways. I took out a lot of asbestos. They used to make asbestos. It looked like giant thick pieces of cardboard, but it was all asbestos, and it looked just like cardboard, like this thick. And you could buy it in big sheets, and they would put it on top of these gravity furnaces and on top of older furnaces in case the furnace got out of control, that it would not melt the top of the furnace and the fire go out. So we used to take that stuff out. All right. So I knew that asbestos was dangerous way back then. So what did I do? What did I just tell you? It's only dangerous if you get it in the air. So if you take a saltine cracker and you break it like I did on Friday night to make the crust for the fish that I fried, little pieces of the cracker fly all over the place. So if I took that dried piece of asbestos and cracked it, asbestos would go everywhere. So what did I do? We wet it down. We used to take asbestos. They would wrap the ductwork with it in these gravity furnaces. I would take it out. But what did I do? I just got it wet. I kept it wet. We had somebody with a stupid little garden hand pump sprayer spraying it, just completely soaking it with water so that it would completely keep any fibers there. Then we would wash the floor down. Nothing about this is hard. It's all common sense. But if you work with it all day long, every day, and it's friable, then you better figure out a way to stay safe, all right? They say that N95 masks are safe. Maybe you wear an N95 mask all day working with asbestos. Hi, Jason. Steve here. Can I run bathroom vent fan to the roof cable? California, South Bay. That's kind of maybe. I would prefer, Steve, I would really prefer that you buy an attractive dryer vent, just the regular dryer vent hood. They're everywhere. They're super cheap. And you drill the 4¼ inch hole through your gable end. I know if it's stucco, it's going to be a little harder. And then you pipe the bath exhaust to that dryer vent. That's the better way to do it. I know it's going to take a couple extra hours, but it's the better way to do it. And for God's sakes, don't use up in the attic that plastic crap accordion pipe. Throw it. Don't even think about it. all solid metal pipe, all aluminum pipe up there. Josh, he had this old siding shingles on his house here and then with a garden hose. Exactly. SG, I've seen a video on a house being wrapped with all the hefty too. What is my take on wrapping roof for extra ceiling? SG wants to know. Okay, great question. You should always have an underlayment under shingles. It's basically here's the best way to think of. I'll say this and not really trying to offend anybody. So the underlayment under a roofing material is like the underwear that I hope you're wearing today, whether you're a man or a woman. All right. So there's a reason why you wear underwear. All right. I shouldn't even have to explain why. What the underlayment does on a roof is that it's this barrier that it's like in the case that there's a failure of the main roofing material, that the underlayment will minimize the water that might get in your home. All right, it won't completely stop it unless you put the right underlayment on. Like, for example, I have Grace Ice and Water Shield on my roof, and there's no way I'm going to have a leak in my house. It's not happening, just because of the way Grace Ice and Water Shield's designed. So it's a good idea, but like anything else, you have to read. You not only have to read the installation instructions of the underlayment, you have to read the installation instructions of the roofing material to make sure that you're putting on the correct underlayment. Does that make sense? And the house wrap, understand that the house wrap is different than roof underlayment. They're not the same thing. All right. Vanessa, pipes here are wrapped in asbestos. Yes, they did it for insulation. Josh, yes, your dad's not going to have any health. That's amazing. Your dad didn't have any health information. He might have also, been immune. I mean, I just think that all of us, we'll get off the track just a little bit. Why across the world, both in the UK and America, because Steve's still here, I think. Steve may have been around hundreds of people over the past 2 years that contracted the illness, but they look like me right now. They look fine. They're not sniffling. They're not sneezing, nothing, but they contracted the illness. You may have been in contact with hundreds or thousands of those people over the past 2 years. But why did other people contract the illness like me? I contracted it. I got pretty sick. Kathy saved my life. My doctor, he didn't do flipping squat for me. He thought that ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine were a joke. I'm never going back to him. He drank the Kool-Aid. If you want to know how I survived, just go to my website, askthebuilder.com, type COVID into it. Just type COVID into the search engine, read all about it. All right. So, to Josh's point, Josh's dad, because of God, God's constantly experimenting with us. Everybody's DNA is a little different and whatever. And so God goes, let's do this to Josh's dad. Makes him immune from his mesothelioma. Like, go ahead, eat the stuff. Freaking eat a flipping asbestos cookie, and you might not ever get sick. All right, other people, one bite, they die. All right, so that's why some women get breast cancer and other women don't. Have you ever thought about that? How come is it that some women don't get breast cancer? None of this is hard. Nothing about this is hard. It's all about, this is what I've said it 100 times. I swear to God, you have to talk. Well, of course, today they teach them crap, but this is why all of us should have paid more attention in high school chemistry, biology, and physics class. Our teachers back then, if you remember, they said, you're gonna need this one day. Yeah, right. We're giving them the finger like, fuck you, man. They were right. Lorene, I got good news. I started to set up. I already did. I started my store in spring. I started to design my first T-shirt, and that's what that was the first T-shirt. But all of a sudden, I ran into a roadblock because I wanted to put my Ask the Builder logo on it, and it's not high enough resolution. So my son and I are trying to deal with that in the next few days. But hopefully soon, going to have a lot of cool Ask the Builder gear, man, that you can get through YouTube as well as on Discord. I linked both I linked Discord and YouTube to this spring store, where right now there's nothing in it, but hang tight. But nothing about this is hard is going to be a flipping T-shirt. All right. Let's see. Here we go. Let me get caught up. A lot of comments. Oh my gosh, they're running off the thing. For D5X5 for a hot water recirculating pump, can one pump at the hot water and then so if you go to my website and read about hot water recirculation, I've got a column on that explains everything. Go to the website, photos, everything you need to know is there. So yes, you can do it with a pump. Here's the good news. If you live in a house that has a basement and your water heater is in the basement, you don't need a pump. But it would have been nice if you could have insulated part of it. Anyway, go to my website and read everything about hot water recirculation. I answer everything you need to know there. Like a layer cake, yes. Good night, yes. DNA, yes. We're all muted. Yes, Kitty. Will Smith talking about rooster underwear. George R.R. Martin in the Game of Thrones had a really interesting word. He didn't use underwear. It was really fascinating. He had some great different words for things. He called them small clothes. And it's really interesting when you think about it, because underwear it's small clothes. They're much smaller. Like underpants are much smaller than regular pants, and a woman's bra is much smaller than a regular top. So they're small clothes. All right. So good. He's a smart guy. All right. Jason flipping squad. I'm stealing that. They keep talking about the next one. I know they're trying. It's not going to work, Steve. It's not going to work on most of us. What's that old saying? You can fool me once, but you can't fool me twice. So there's some old saying like that. It's like not going to work. Not going to work. They hoped that the illness would get all the sheep into the pen where they could shoot them or whatever. Didn't happen. Good point. We'll both awesome teachers do work well. A math teacher since return. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I know you're a math teacher. Good for you. When we played golf, nothing about this is hard. Steve, why did school teach about real what I think you meant to say why didn't? Because all right. This may come as a shock to you, but it's a lot easier to control stupid people than it is to control smart people. That's your answer. This has been in the works for 30, 40 years. So, Steve, that's the answer. That's why the kids coming out today are really stupid. Out of public schools, it's horrible. We have to take control. We have to take control back of our school boards. Vanessa, some of those teachers actually teach critical thinking. Good for you, Vanessa. Remember, I told you I made an offer to you. If you feel that it would help your students to tie me into a classroom via Skype, I'm willing to do it. Game of Thrones. Yep. I read all 5 books. Real life Game of Groans. You got that right, especially now with the high inflation. Vanessa, yeah, I teach math. Well, I'll be able to show in your math classes. I can show kids this is how you use math every day around your home. Jason, China's going to lock down. Is on lock. Going. Well, good for them. They yeah. Is it a ruse to stop production? Yeah. Who knows? Shamdemic. Stop calling it pandemic. It's the shamdemic, and it's also the plandemic. If you've not read the Plandemic book, you have to read it. I'm telling you, by Mickey Willis. Steve wants to know who was my favorite character in the Game of Thrones. Oh, well, you know what I have to say. It was. How come I'm afraid I'm not going to pronounce it right? Lord Stark's youngest daughter, Asha. Asha. You know, the one that. I mean, you know who I'm talking about, the scruffy one, the scruffy sister, the younger sister. Complete badass. Everything about her is badass. I love her. I also liked. I really like Jon Snow. Yeah, construction has so much of it. But so Vanessa, I think that what would really be cool would be to teach the kids or show the kids how math is used all the time in on a frequent basis, not when building a home, because most of the kids aren't going to build a home. But there's just all kinds of different things. So there's just all kinds of different things that where it really, really benefits them. So Vanessa says, so does the firing range yet bring my students to a gun range as banned? That's horrible. That's horrible. Bring them to my 90 acres. We'll shoot guns up there. I've got my own gun range, outdoor. Jason, midterms are coming up. Got to get those mail-in ballots going. You see what happens when you have when you get a mail order present like we have, right? Arya, that's it. Arya. Yeah. Arya, exactly. Arya. Yeah, my favorite character by far. Boy, does she have some plot armor, right? Wow. And you know the story behind that, don't you? This is a true story. My son told me. And I can vouch for this because Kathy, I frequently share stuff, my work with Kathy. Most of the time she's not interested, but sometimes she is. For example, we just started on a new project where I'm writing stories for my granddaughter to read, to do on a video call. She wants me to do it. She asked me to do it. And Kathy's collaborating with me. And it's going to be amazing. And it's kind of based on a book I was going to write about 8 years ago. Anyway, then I'm going to put all these stories together and give it to my granddaughter as a hardback book too, for when she's a little older. All right, so George R. Martin's wife, you know, he must have been bouncing the books off of her, you know, his writing as he was going along. Smart idea, in my opinion. Well, at some point, George Martin's wife said, he must have been pretty far along, maybe book 2, I don't know. She said to him, and you know, women, oh, the ultimate flipping scarcity play. Are you kidding me? She says to George, don't you dare kill Arya off. Don't you dare do it. Because she loved Arya. So there you have it. That's why Arya did not die. Yes. Will Oak Grove, I don't know. Yes, Oak Grove, you're correct about all that. Yes, about things being absolutely. It's just that all you have to do is go to a street magician. You know, the guys that do the flipping. I don't have one handy. You know, like the cups. You know how they have like a cup. They have 3 cups and they put a nut under it or whatever, and they swim around. That's all that's happening here at Game of Thrones with us. It's all, just look at the flipping news. It's just one. When was the last time you saw any major news outlet like stop about the current crisis and then start reporting about something good? Never. They constantly want you distracted. We have to wake more people up. What's it going to take? All right, here we go. Vanessa, calculus class at a firing range does. Yes, I would agree with that. Calculus. Great. What a great math, calculus. We need our own school infrastructure instead of this. Yeah, public school. Well, I don't know. Good night. I disagree with that. We've got the public school system's okay from a physical standpoint. All we have to do is take control back again at the school board level. And what happened is that the domestic enemies have infiltrated over the past 30, 40 years our school boards. That's all that happened. And most parents, here's the trouble. Most parents are working so flipping hard. They don't have time to go to the school board meetings. Most parents don't have time to read their kids' books. And they knew that. The domestic enemies knew that, and so they took advantage of that. That's why critical race theory, that's why all this horrible pornography and all this other stuff is in textbooks now. It's crazy. It's crazy. But people are waking up on that. There's a lot of moms that are not happy, man. And what's the old phrase? Hell hath no fury like that of a scorned woman. All right? Well, some of these moms have been scorned by the school systems. They're going to pay, man. So anyway, exactly. That's exactly right, Jason. George's wife said he couldn't kill her. I do know if I had a multi-man credit, I would not be spending on what this. Yes, exactly. Of course not. That's all because there's so much corruption. That's what's going on. If you think all that money is going to those things, you're dreaming. Of course, fear sells. Here's Steve. To your point, anyone who has been in a situation where they're afraid, and it's happened to me. What happens is your ability to think clearly evaporates. You're done. You're toast. I think, I think there are people on this stream that can talk to this, that in basic training, like in the Army and the different other, especially all our special forces like SEALs and Army Rangers and whatever, all those guys, that they are really trained on how to handle fear. Because if you get afraid on the battlefield, it's all over. All right. So the overlords know if they can frighten people, then they can just completely control them. And that's what's happened the past 2 years. The ultimate scarcity play, death. We're going to take your life away from you if you do not get jabbed. We're going to take your life away from you if you do not put a mask on. Did you know that there was absolutely no science behind the whole 6-foot thing? You knew that, right? You know that, don't you? I think it was a high school term paper. Let me get caught up. Well, I didn't say any of this is easy. But I do know that the school board can fire the bad teachers. Nothing about that's hard. They just get rid of them. You're done. Out of here. Oh, Don. Congratulations, man. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. So here, I'll do you a favor. Here's volume 1. I'm going to read to you the chapters, all right, to give you an idea of how the book was structured. It's also broken into 2 sections. So here's the table of contents. It's called Early Life is the first one. So chapter 1 was about my dad. Chapter 2 was about my mom, but the title was well, I'm not going to tell you. I don't want to tell you their names for security reasons. Then chapter 3 was my aunts and uncles, and on my father's side. And then chapter 4 was my aunts and uncles on my mother's side. And then I had a special chapter about a special aunt. I shared that with you, I think, by the way, that story a week ago, Aunt Margaret. And then the chapter is about my first homes where I lived. And then a chapter about picnics at another aunt, the other fun aunt. I had 2 really fun aunts. Then we skipped to another section. And this is kind of when I was a small lad. All right. So chapter 8 is my friends on my street I grew up on. Chapter 9 is called Many Broken Eggs. Chapter 3 is Joe Conrad. He's the dad I didn't have. Chapter 11 is my Texaco tanker and my other toys. Chapter 12 is my model trains, of which I still have almost all of them. Chapter 13 is dam builders. We used to build dams down in the woods at the creek. Chapter 14, the fire barrel. I was a pyromaniac, right? Chapter 15, riding bikes. Chapter 16, summer days and nights. You know, because back when I was a kid, maybe you too, like on summer nights, man, you would just stay out and you'd play hide and seek and just do all, I mean, you'd lay on the street and you'd watch the thunderstorms on the horizon. Called it heat lightning. We didn't, one of the older kids said, "Oh, that's heat lightning." You know, you'd see lightning, but you wouldn't hear the thunder. Idiots. I mean, we were idiots. We were so small. We didn't realize that sound couldn't travel that far. Then a chapter about wintertime. Then the chapter about spewing cherries. I got sick on cherries. I will never eat another flipping cherry in my life. The infamous mudball wars. Croquet golf. What do you think about that? Well, we actually made our own golf course. Dumpster flowers, summer sleepovers. That chapter is online. That chapter, you can read about summer sleepovers online. The Great Winton Woods bike trip, my paper route. That was an amazing chapter to write. Oh my God. My editor loved that chapter. The Versailles State Park camping trip. That's where I kissed a girl for the first time. And my 12-string guitar. That ends the book. So if that helps you, then it kind of gives you some structure about everything that was important to me growing up. All right. Oak Grove. My wife, me, her husband, daughter, all had it all at the same time. Wife went to a doctor, and this got the good stuff. We got the other. Vanessa said from 18 lock after midnight. Oak Grove, truth, nice. All right. All this new data to me. If board can do that, well, board can, yeah. Think of this. Good night. So think of the school board. They're no different than the flipping president of the United States or like the governor of a state. I'm serious. The school board, man, if you take control of the school board, like, I don't know, say there's 7 members on it. You only need 4 of the 7 to think like you do. You tell the other 3 to go to hell. Like, go to hell. Don't even bother coming to the flipping meetings because we're going to always outvote you. Bunch of freaking losers. So you completely change everything. You are in complete control of what happens in the schools. If the principals in the schools don't do exactly as you say, they're fired. They're gone. None of this is hard. Nothing about this is hard. Yeah, Vanessa, you should write that book. You should absolutely write that book for whoever family members you have. They need to understand what happened to you. I'm getting caught up here. All right, skeet golf, fun times. School boards are critical. Yes. Good night. Well, that works for me. All right, Jimmy. Oh, hey, Jimmy, how you doing? I'm not angry. I guess I do get angry. I just am get wrapped around the axle about bad things and how we have to change things. So yeah, HOAs, take them over as soon as you can. Right. So anyway, so that's that. All right, hour and a half. We've been on a long time. All right, so I don't have much else to talk about. We went off the rails a little bit. That's okay. Discord. If you're watching this and you're not on my Discord server, I'll give you the link. I encourage you to get on the Discord, and I'll get your question in just a second. Good night. Here's the Discord server link. So we've only been on Discord less than a week. All right, five days. All right. It's so there's a learning curve for everyone, including me, and I can just tell you that some really cool things are going to happen there. I try to invest about an hour a day in learning more about it, and each day it's like, oh, I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know you could do that, and it's just it's going to enable you to communicate with me more often than not. I'm not going to be on there all day. I got other stuff to do, but frequently I might be able to give you a really fast answer about something. You know, it's just so much better. It just can do so many things. So you're making a mistake if you're not getting on Discord. And when you go there in the left-hand column, way up at the top, there's a channel called How Does Discord Work? For the love of God, click that and then read some of the comments there and watch some of those videos. Oh, good night. I've got a FLIR. I have a FLIR. I have a FLIR. Is that right? Is that what you want to know? Yeah, thermal. And right here. Here's my FLIR camera. You know, it's got a USB-C, hooks into my Android phone. Fantastic little infrared camera. The only thing, and Will just bought one. Will, if you're still here, are you having good luck with yours? There just been some people that are a little disappointed in the battery life, but it's not like you typically need it for a couple of hours. You just charge up the battery, take photos for 15 or 20 minutes, and you're good to go. And if you have one of these around, you know, you can always charge it up if you're outside or somewhere. This is just a battery pack. It's no different than a flipping AA battery in a way. In other words, you could charge your cell phone several times with this thing. So you could charge this thing up 5 or 10 times with this thing. So FLIR, I love my FLIR. Okay, Steve. Good. Yeah, thanks you, Jack, for joining. I'll see you later, Steve. Thanks. I'm going to be getting off here in just a minute. Let's see. Join the Discord. Yes, join the Discord. I'm trying to get caught up on the comments before I get out of here. Good night. Doing a great job setting it up. Yeah, the Discord's going to be great. We can do so much with it. And as Goodnight says, zero censorship. This is you have to understand my server that Goodnight set up. It's private. It's not open to the world. I mean, people can see the invite, but it's not. Only the people that are in the server can see what's happening. That's, I think, the best way to put it. Oh, interesting. Needed for aluminum welding, preheating. Very interesting. I also have this one. It's not as good, but this may get you by. Good night. This may do what you need. So this is maybe it's more affordable. So this is one made by Klein Tools. So it's also an IR. You know, here's the that's what you point at it, and then you see the screen on the other side. So it's It's not bad. It's not bad. So this may be all you need. Okay. Can't believe an hour and 35 minutes. It feels like 5 minutes to me. It always does. Crazy. Okay, I hope we solve some roof problems early on. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, last thing, real fast. So this morning early, I'm looking out my window. It's right here. I know you can't see it. Sorry. And there's still some snow covering in the woods, a little from the weekend. And I see something move. And I focus on it, and it was this beautiful red fox coming right at me. And so I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. And I went, oh shit, let's take a photo of it. And so I got a really good photo of it. So I'll share that on Discord in a few after I hang up here. So all right, I'm gonna get out of here. All right, thanks so much for bring your Will bring the flair to find some golf balls. Look, I thought I told you about the golf ball thing. Here's my feeling about golf balls. When I lose a golf ball, I don't get upset at all. You know why? Because I just made somebody else happy, because they're going to probably find it. Think about it. If you've ever played the game of golf and you find a golf ball that's in pretty good shape, you're like, wow, I found a flipping golf ball. I mean, most people are that way. You know, the pros like Will, they don't care. They don't need them flipping balls. They rarely lose them. And they only want to use Pro Steph 4s anyway. They don't want to use supposedly the best balls. Give me a break. They're all about the same. I don't care what anybody says. They're all about the same. Anyway, all right, Lorraine. Glad see you on Wednesday. Jimmy, do a future show on outside wood boilers. Jimmy, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't have one. I don't know how I could do a show without one. So not going to happen. But I can talk about them. A lot of people don't like them. I'll tell you that. Exactly. I throw the bad ones back. Exactly. You're a golf ball snob. I mean, because you're good. You're a good golfer. You don't need to find those dumb balls. All right. Yeah. I've done that a couple of times. I've had a couple of games where I've never lost a ball. So anyway. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for being here today. Thank you so much. You were the ones who make it possible, and got some great questions today. Great questions. Really good ones. You know, the dormer flashing ones. There were some really good questions. So, all right, I'm going to be out of here. So, if you have not joined the Discord, do it. It's right here. I'm telling you, here's why you need to join the Discord if you haven't yet. I can tell you, when I first saw it, it was very overwhelming. There's so much going on, but it's not as complicated as it seems. You need to get onto it and just kind of get a feel for it and kind of play around and click things. Just click things. You cannot break it. It cannot be broken at all. Just start exploring. And the more you get up to speed, the more power and the more time and money you're going to save using it. Is all I can tell you. I'm telling you, we're going to be investing a lot of time in Discord, and you're going to benefit as a result. You're going to benefit big time. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Have a great time tonight. Whatever leftovers at the Carter house, that's okay. I like leftovers. Sometimes we have breakfast for dinner. That's what we're having tonight. So Kathy makes these fantastic cinnamon apples. Oh my God, they're so good. Oh God. All right, gotta go. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Tim Carter, and you've been watching Ask the Builder. Oh, by the way, here, you didn't see my shirt. All right. I support facial nudity. All right. I should have shown that at the beginning of this stream. Okay, I'm out of here. We're going to have some really cool t-shirts for sale soon. Some Ask the Builder t-shirts. Lorraine's the one who suggested that. Okay, I'm out of here. Thanks so much for being here. I'm sorry. Okay, I got to go. I'm Tim Carter, and this has been Ask the Builder. Thanks a lot for being here.